battling the end of winter cold, and had a quiet moment at the house. And rather than try and shoot a new video right now, rather than try and work on some content, I thought it'd be easier for me to go live and just see who's around on a Friday afternoon. It's not often that I get a Friday afternoon like this to come on here. So we'll see if we get some friends in here and have a little fun. I'm having a little tea, a little spot of tea, and just trying to get over this cold, man. Trying to get over this cold. What's happening, everybody? Who do we have here? We've got 3 people in here. We got 1 thumb up. Dave, how you doing, brother? Zeke, how you doing? Nick, dude, battling a cold, man. Battling. Man, it's like a turbo cold, Nick. I guess it's going around. Chance, how you doing, brother? Wow, we jumped up to 10 super fast. Let's get the thumbs up. I don't know how long I'll be able to go on this, but like I said, man, dude, Ricky, how you doing, brother? Eric, 2 weeks, dude. It's that turbo cold, Eric. It's a turbo cold going around, man. It is rough. Man, I thought I was better, feeling better yesterday, and I did too much work around the house, and it kicked my ass, man. So I'm out. But man, did everybody see the Van Halen dump? The release of all the footage of early Van Halen. Thank you, Mike H. Thank you, brother. Gib Les Paul's been sick for 3 weeks. Man, this is something. It's something stronger, man. But yeah, so Chance, you haven't seen Eric, I sent you an email yesterday. Somebody released all this old, I think it is the footage from Noel Monk. Noel Monk is the old tour manager of Van Halen. And he had all this footage from the road. It's like from 78 and on. And it's the channel, I believe, is called James Vega. I think that's the name of the channel. But man, it's, here's the thing. You're going to wonder, like, you'll hear a snippet of a song and then it'll cut and then they'll go to another song. Back then, man, rolls of film were expensive and people would do that. People would shoot footage and shoot a little snippet and then cut and then shoot another snippet of something else. So there's very little bit of complete songs. But yeah, dude, somebody said they were like 5 hours in watching that. It's tons of footage, man. And this is a great topic to talk about because watch the 78 footage first, the early footage. There was one from, I think it's Madison Square Garden. And you see the band backstage. You get a feel for what it was like to be touring in 1978. They're all in a locker room. They're all together. They're one. It's the band, and the crew, everybody in the same room. And there's a lot of ganj. There's a lot of ganj floating around. And at one point, there's this blackboard. Yeah, I sent you the email, Eric, with a link. I sent you an email with the link to Eric Blue Band. I sent it to that. They're backstage, they're partying, they're cracking jokes, they're acting goofy. And then when they go on stage, they just absolutely just ignite the crowd, man. They just absolutely they were just absolutely just incredible. And man, it's amazing footage. It's a shame there wasn't more. There's a shame that they didn't, do that. Band was so good then. And look, some people could not be a fan of Michael Anthony's bass playing, but I will say this: in seeing these live clips, his bass playing is like a ham sandwich. And when Eddie decides to throw out streams of condiments, that ham sandwich creates this big bed for him to solo over and fill out all of his things. It's like not, it's just a great combination of a band. It couldn't have been if one guy had been different in that band, I'm not sure. Who knows if it would have made it? Even Michael Anthony. Yeah, Zeke. I'm all about the Van Halen, man, and it's amazing footage. I would say for everybody watch it, man, because who knows if this stuff is going to get taken down. But you can see the camaraderie of the band. You can see that there's a little bit of partying going on, but it doesn't seem like it's over the top. Nobody's like getting drunk off their mind. They go out there on stage and they just absolutely slay. It's like, and here's the thing, man. When you play in big cities, whether you play in Nashville, or you play in Los Angeles, or you play in New York, the audiences are going to be kind of blasé, even if you're out there just slaying. I can imagine Van Halen playing some nights in a club, and there's not many people in the club, and there's a bunch of dudes doing this. There's a couple chicks talking to some guy who's buying them drinks. And people maybe some people didn't realize how good these guys were. And maybe Van Halen didn't realize how good they were. But then once you put them in, these audiences they're just rabid. Even in Japan, in 1978, there's footage from them playing in Japan. And you've always heard how reserved the Japanese audiences are. But I literally was shocked when they showed the crowd footage and the Japanese audience was going nuts. And there looked like about 3 or 4 Japanese girls in the front row that just looked like they wanted to climb out of their outfits and attack. It was just, it's incredible how much force that band had, how much energy they spit out. And when you spit out energy like that, it comes bouncing back. And man, it's an incredible thing, man. It's an incredible thing to witness. And you can see, man, look, these guys had been together for 7 years prior to this, playing in clubs. Their chops were honed, but they had their formula down. They figured out their formula. Eddie, if you listen to Eddie's playing before 78, some of that stuff, the dive bombing and some of that stuff, man, it almost like that stuff came at the right time. He started doing all that stuff at the time of the recording of the album. And it's an amazing thing to see, and see how great they were at playing the game, dealing with the tour manager, dealing with the people coming backstage and the record people and the photographers and all that stuff. See them after the show at Madison Square Garden, and they're all holding court, backstage. And you even see them eating the meal. They're all eating a meal together in the room. They literally, normally when you're on tour, there's like, I don't know, was it called the catering room? or the dining room, in those backstage arenas. Normally they'll have like a room that they've turned into a dining room. But Van Halen was an opening act for Black Sabbath on this tour. So they're literally bringing their food in a table in their locker room, and Dave's grazing. Dave's grazing on food like you would expect him to do. You're not going to look like that if you're gouging on food. Alex looks like the wild man of Borneo in '78. He had that poofy, like, I knew a drummer when I was in high school that had that exact same hair. It's like a poof, perm, shag. It's weird how Eddie had he got all the good genes as far as appearance and hair. Eddie had that perfectly coiffed shag haircut, right? And Alex just had this mop on his head. And Alex with his strap, he's wearing the strap shirt, just straps, leather straps that he wore on the cover of the album. AB, great to have you here. We're talking about the unreleased Van Halen footage. So, yeah, I know everybody's going to want to see that. It's amazing to see them all getting along, to see them in close quarters. Because you later hear when they were doing those reunion tours with Wolf on bass, the Van Halens and the Daves, there was never any congregation. It was like the Van Halens came on from this side of the stage and Dave came on to this side of the stage. Dave never went to sound checks. In this video, you see Dave at sound check. I mean, look, man, when you're a young pup, like they were in 1978, and like I said, they've been together 7 years of playing club gigs, working their way up the scene. So they were veterans. They were a well-honed machine. But man, it's amazing footage. I hope it doesn't get taken down. I wish somebody would purchase this footage and get together with Warner Brothers and do it right, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. But man, be thankful it's up there, because it is amazing to see that band, playing that well, getting along that well, and see it all before the industry kind of tears everybody apart. The pressure, all of the things, the bad feelings, the photo shoots that the band gets upset because the singer's getting more pictures and all that. There's a lot of jealousy happens with bands. A lot of people, it's a difficult thing to navigate, man. But to see that band in 1978, the Day on the Green footage from Oakland, dude, it's crazy how they will work the crowd up into a frenzy. It is insane. There is no live acts today that come out with the raw power and energy of that band. Now they had a blackboard in I think it's the Madison Square Garden footage, and it says like Van Halen, and then it says Eddie Van Halen, Alex Van Halen, and David Lee Roth, Michael Anthony, and then it cuts away and they put another message on there, and then it says New York, Madison Square Garden, we came, we krelled, we conquered. Now, you can't see any examples of them krelling. And if anybody that watches or knows Van Halen knows the story, yeah, Tim. So I know Tim Hardiman is here, and I know he's probably watched all that footage. But yeah, I don't see any footage of them doing that in front of the camera. There is a lot of left-handed cigarettes, but it's a wild videos, man. It's a treasure trove. Have you seen all that stuff, Tim? Have you seen the unreleased Van Halen footage? Yeah, 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 yeah. Ozzy, that's not the Madison Square Garden though one, is it? Isn't that like Oakdale, New York, or something like that? Yeah. My favorites are the Madison Square Garden and some of the Japanese footage. And then there's some of it that doesn't have any audio. I mean, there's a couple moments where Eddie's starting to play Eruption, and they show it, and he's just ripping, and then the camera shuts off, and it fast forwards to another. And that's how, man. I used to have a camcorder back in the day, and we used to do stuff like that. We would tape little snippets and turn it off. Yeah, Uniondale, that's it. Ozzy cameo. So Ozzy and Bill Ward from Black Sabbath are in these videos. They do a spoof. It's that whole Uniondale episode. It's almost like Michael Anthony is the whipping bass player of the video. They pick on him kind of relentlessly in that video. It's semi amusing if you're not Michael Anthony. But and there's one guy that even straps on his bass and does the beating on the bass thing, and it's funny, man. It's funny, but yeah, man, we got 43 people in here. We got 16 thumbs up. We're just having a little spot of tea on a Friday. Bo, I would beg to differ that Black Album Metallica versus 1978 Van Halen. I personally would rather see 1978 Van Halen than any decade of Metallica. But that's just me. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe it's I don't know. What do you guys think out there? Who would you rather see? 1978 Van Halen or Metallica? Who would you rather see? For me, and I saw Metallica in, I'm thinking like, was it 87 or 88? Dude, Van Halen in 1978, because the reason why, dude, you look at they were an opening act, and they didn't have all the accoutrements, they didn't have all the lights, and it was a very basic set. But you got a dude blasting a cranked Marshall, playing flawlessly, dude. He's not just playing the same stuff. Eddie Van Halen lit the fire on stage, and you would hear interesting things that he would add each night. He was riding the wave of music. Now, I have no doubt that Metallica was a better polished machine, probably from recording that Black Album and the process of recording that album. And you can say that they had better songs. I don't know, man. I'd still rather listen to Van Halen 1 than any Metallica album. I'm not a huge Metallica fan. I appreciate their talent, and they certainly are a huge band, and they've lasted the. I'm not one of those people who thinks James Hetfield is one of the best songwriters of all time. Is he as good a songwriter? And we're talking pure songs, not rockin'. Pure. Is he a better songwriter than Elton John? Is he a better songwriter than Billy Joel? And look, I'm not talking, yeah, Elton John didn't rock. Billy Joel doesn't rock compared to Metallica. But you can't tell me that James Hetfield is a better lyricist than Elton John, bro. Or no, Bernie Taupin, the guy that wrote that stuff. Or Billy Joel. You can't tell me. That's right. You are correct, Bo. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. But you can't say James Hetfield is better than Paul McCartney or John Lennon or Donald Fagen or any or Phil Lynott. Phil Lynott wrote better songs than James Hetfield. James Hetfield had better production. James Hetfield was the right guy at the right time with the right sound and the right image and everything. But Phil Lynott is a better song. I would rather listen to Phil Lynott's songs than listen to James Hetfield. But that's just me. And I know this is a rich debate. What do you guys think? Who would you rather hear? I know we had a few Van Halens in there. That's a tough. So Euro is saying, what about Wolfgang? Wolfgang's in a tough spot. Wolfgang is in a tough spot. That's not look. After seeing this footage and seeing a vintage Edward Van Halen on stage, dude, you can't even mention Kirk Hammett in the same sentence. You can't even put him in the same world. They're not even from the same planet. And I like Wolfgang Van Halen just fine. There's nothing wrong with Wolfgang Van Halen. He's a very talented guy. You know, Edward didn't record his whole albums with him playing every instrument and could sing like Wolfgang Van Halen. Wolfgang Van Halen has a very good voice. But Van Halen was an icon. He was an originator. He was one of the greatest of all time. I just don't think you can compare that band. Sure they were, Bo. Lots of Van Halen hits were cover songs, and that was very strategic. But Metallica has a couple of cover songs too, dude. Metallica has a couple cover songs too. What is Whiskey in the Jar? What is Turn the Page or whatever that other stuff? For me personally, and it's probably a generational thing, it's probably, Garage Days was a cover album. I think every artist ends up having to do that. I think Van Halen was under pressure to do. I mean, look, if it weren't for Van Halen, I'm not even sure Metallica would even exist. Because the music industry was trying to feed us new wave. They were trying to get everybody to listen to Devo and the Go-Go's. They were not signing hard rock bands back in those days. They were not signing hard rock bands. And, and Van Halen just got signed on their sheer talent alone. They were not flavor of the month. They kept hard rock alive when people had considered that the music of dinosaurs. Metallica did get radio play on KNAC out in LA. They played it. They did. They played their heaviest thrash stuff. But yeah, Van Halen was able to figure out how to get hard rock on radio. And perhaps the Black Album is Metallica making something that, can be, played on the radio. Because, man, not everybody's going to be into thrash metal, Yeah, I mean, look, Van Halen, at its time period when they came out with Roth and the leather pants and the studded belt, and Alex Van Halen wearing a leather strap shirt, that was as metal as you could get back then. That was the heaviest stuff possible. So they were groundbreaking. They were groundbreaking, and I'm not sure the genre would have survived if Van Halen hadn't have blown up. What's happening, Mickey? How you doing? Would rather see Sabbath at their peak than VH. Well, yeah, but you just stated synthetic. Um, yeah, everybody that pretty much saw Van Halen on that saw that Van Halen blew Sabbath off the stage, dude. Imagine not knowing who Van Halen is because there was no MTV. They weren't getting, mass exposure, and going to a Black Sabbath show and Van Halen comes out and just blows your friggin' mind. I mean, I saw the reunion tour of Black Sabbath, and the guy that impressed me the most in that band was Bill Ward. Bill Ward, man, I kept thinking I'm watching Dave Grohl. All the all those fills and stuff that he was doing. Man, I was most impressed by Bill Ward. I thought his drumming for me made that band. Um, Richie Sambora is a talented guy. I will not argue that. There's a band that plays in Nashville. When they get a Metallica request, when a drum fill comes up, the singer tells the drummer to Lars it. Oh my God. Look, man, Lars has had his struggles, and I'm sure, I used to hear rumors about Eddie having problems with Alex at one time. I mean, look, as people get deeper in their cups on the road, you start to see the cracks in a band. You start to see the weak points in a band. So, everybody has off nights and stuff like that. I'm not going to pick on, yeah, P Funk, the Van Halen footage, bro. It's epic, man. Do I like Skid Row? I like them just fine. It's just, it's, I don't know. I don't feel like it was marketed for me. I don't think in the time I think if you were a 12 or 13-year-old kid when Skid Row came out, I think it would blow your mind. I think, Eric, how you doing, brother? P Funk is in the house. Oh my God. John is saying there's a vid of James telling Lars to play like Slayer. He can't. Look, man, it's very hard to play like somebody else. And there are guys that are very talented. Thoughts on Michael Schenker? Man, from everything I can hear of Michael Schenker, he's friggin' great. He's great. I haven't gone a ton down that rabbit hole, man. I'm Van Halen was my 12-year-old. I was 12 or 13 years old when Van Halen came out. So it was perfect timing to be exposed to that and hear it as it's kind of hearing the stuff that came before it. And then, and look, here's the thing. I saw UFO live. So tell me, can anybody tell me, was Michael Schenker playing that night? I saw UFO opening for Cheap Trick. And this was right around the time period of Dream Police. So thank you, Dave, thank you. Was Schenker still in the band when Cheap Trick was touring behind the Dream Police album? Somebody's going to know this answer. Somebody will know this and let me know. So then I can tell you whether I've seen Schenker or not, Michael Schenker. Now, I remember when I watched UFO open up for Cheap Trick, the thing that really I remember about it is the bass player. Was it Phil Moog or Moog? What was the bass player for UFO's name? What was the bass player's name? It was that I remember. I remember Pete Way. That's who it was, right? Pete Way was the bass player, and I remember him doing these phallic things with his bass. He'd go out, to the front of the stage and be, doing this and stuff like that. Pete Way. Yeah, so that's what I remember about the UFO show was Pete Way in some kind of spandex pants and a big old, I believe he played a precision because most rock players in those days played a precision. Maybe, I would imagine he was playing. Did Pete Way play a precision bass? That's the question of the day. So now Mike H, demonetized, is telling me that Steve Harris from Iron Maiden idolized Pete Way. So yeah, that somebody's asking what's the VH footage called. Chance, it's under a channel called, I think it's James Vega. Somebody, I don't mind you guys going and watching that, man. You know, it's history, dude. And if that stuff gets pulled, well, I like what was the drummer that played on Run to the Hills? Was it Clive? What was the drummer, Iron Maiden's drummer that played on Run to the Hills? That's the guy that I really, Clive Burr. Yeah, dude. Clive Burr is the guy that blew my mind when I first saw Iron Maiden on MTV playing Run to the Hills and seeing Clive Burr and that super fast hi-hat work and the beat of Run to the Hills. Man, you know, they say Clive got canned because he was drinking too much at the time. And certainly Nico McBrain that replaced him? Yeah, he had a good look. I really like Clive Burr, man. Very difficult drummer to cover. And, you know, and Nico McBrain, maybe that was probably the right decision because obviously Nico was able to carry that band for all those years and play P-Funk, that's funny. Play with, you know, that precision in all those years that Nico McBrain. So salute to Nico. But man, there was something about Clive Burr's drumming that I really, really liked. There was something about his frenetic. Rhonda, welcome. Welcome. Glad to have you here. We've got 63 people in here, but only 33 thumbs up. Yeah, he does, Mike H. And he was there the other day, a couple weeks ago. I meant to tell you. And he was there like signing autographs or something. I think he's hanging down. I think he's hanging in Florida right now. I'm not sure. Pedro, how you doing, brother? We got a great group of people here, man. And thanks. You know, we were getting kind of deep in this band's better than that band, and you know, and all that. But man, thanks everybody for being cool about that. I mean, obviously, I'm going to prefer Van Halen, and some people, if they grew up on Metallica, you know, Metallica's got an amazing sound, powerful sound, very well produced. You know, Metallica did very well to get, who was the guy that produced the Black Album now? Bob Rock. Great producer for that time period, you know? So he got them a really great sound. It's like high school again, dude, except where's my notebook and my pencil, dude? I need to write my Van Halen logo. I'm running low on the tea, bro. I'm running low on the tea. But man, this is fun for me to do on a Friday, kind of spur of the moment. And let's see what we got. Thank you, Jamie. What is your opinion on Don Brewer from Grand Funk? He's man, I loved Grand Funk as a kid. And I'll tell you, I was a little kid, like when I heard Locomotion, I was probably like 8 or 9 years old or something like that. And I love the sound of that record. I know it's a goofy cover song, a Carole King song and all that. But man, I love that echo, that reverb they're using on that. and the sound of the drums and the backward sounding guitar solo all fuzzed out. I love the production of that song. You know, they're a very talented band, man. Do I think Feldman rocks? Dude, I think Feldman is perhaps the greatest of all time, dude. Feldman is the greatest, bro. He's the GOAT. John Coles, thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm very much appreciated. Thank you. That is awesome. Yeah, Feldman, dude. Feldman is his most righteous. Look, man, if you've never heard a guitar solo, I mean, you can imagine, dude. I know people in my family, in my wife's family, the kids had never been to a concert. They never been to a club and heard a band. Maybe they've heard a guy strumming an acoustic, but they didn't really pay attention. They don't know the power of going and seeing a live band and having fun. And, you know, EK is saying, Alan Holdsworth, ever notice how nobody really covers his chord playing, only the shred? Well, yeah. Look, man, that's a valid point. And here's something to think about. If you're a young guy and you're writing songs now and you want to be remembered, you can't write your stuff that's so difficult that nobody can play it. And I can say, you know, Van Halen is on the fence there, dude. There's a lot of guys that do a really good job at playing the Van Halen stuff. Man, some of that stuff is really hard. It's a lot to learn. Hang 'em High, dude. Hang 'em High is a deceptively difficult song to play. When push comes to shove, the chord stuff on that, it's deceptively easy or hard. I don't know what the word to describe it is. That stuff is not easy to play. Now here's the thing. Everybody plays Ain't Talking About Love. Everybody can play that song. And that's a valuable lesson. Without that song, without You Really Got Me, or Ain't Talking About Love, and I know they didn't write You Really Got Me, but man, people might not cover Van Halen as much because the other stuff is harder to play, man. You got to be a lot more, you got to spend a lot more time with it. And I couldn't play Panama right now if you asked me to. Could I learn it and could I play it? Absolutely. Could I learn Hang 'em High? I think I know the intro part. Boom, det, 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 boom, det, det. But man, you know, could I learn it? Yes, absolutely. But have I spent my time doing that? No. You know, when we were coming up, dude, it was needle on the record, and that was way too difficult for me to learn with my ADD arse. So yeah, they're incredible songs, Mike. I know me and P Funk probably spent many a nights cranking up the Van Halen and just pounding beers. And here's the thing, there's a feeling captured, a raw feeling captured in that band. That, man, you could put that music on and man, the party will get started. It will start the party. If you're feeling down in the dumps, and you know, it's you know, it's something, man. It's really something. And I don't their compositions. Phil X does a great job, but the best guy is that Jacob DeRops. If anybody has seen him, for my ears, he sounds the closest to Ed of anybody. And if I was David Lee Roth, I would call Jacob DeRops. In fact, I would hire DeRops' whole band. I would hire his whole band, say, you guys, here's the set list, rehearse. The first show is in September or what. You know, David Lee Roth has a show coming up. Who's going to be the guitar player? That is, and look, this is probably going to be. I'm going to have to go on after this and mark this as Bad Brad talks about Van Halen, because that's, you know, it's easy to go off on that Jacob DeRaps guy. Watch him and look. If somebody said, "Hey man, we're doing a jam night. We'd love to have Bad Brad come and announce it on his YouTube, and we want you to play Hang 'Em High." Well, man, I would have to go, okay, how much time do I have? And I'd pull up Jacob DeRaps playing Hang 'Em High, and I'd learn it. I'd learn it from him because, you know, it's he's the closest. He's the closest I've heard of all of them. You know, Phil X does a great job. Pete Thorne does a great job. There's a lot of guys that play it well. But the Jacob DeRaps guy, man, and you know, he's not the same, doesn't look like Eddie. He's not the same size, but he's a young enough guy. He looks good. If I was David Lee Roth, I'd have that guy on speed dial. That's who I would call. So if anybody can get this out to David Lee Roth, yeah, Rhonda, I hear you on that. So Rhonda is saying, you know, she doesn't know if she could take Roth now. Man, you know what? And so many years passed, you know, from 1984 to when Van Halen finally buried the hatchet and got back out on the road with Roth. And, you know, I think there's something people talk about. There's something people would talk about how, you know, people have hit the wall looks-wise. You know, I probably hit the wall probably 10 years ago. But, you know, you hit the wall and your looks go out they go out the window, and you hear this happening to girls, you hear it happening to guys. Maybe guys age better than girls. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. Yeah, DeRaps rocks, bro. That dude, look, man. Phil, thank you so much. Says, is the best rhythm guitarist. He is incredible. Phil, thank you so much. On this lovely Friday, helping this channel. It is, and I will say this, it is the end of the month. It's the end of the month. Wake up, wake up, wake up. I'm trying to hit the heart on that. Yeah, Roth's vocals are not the same, and he's not the same. DeRaps, dude, DeRaps. Dude, if I gotta learn Van Halen to go play some gig or something, or go sit in with a band, I would watch Jacob DeRaps. I would slow it down. Here's the thing now. Kids can go on YouTube and hit half speed and hear it at the correct pitch and learn whatever they want. It's easy now. It's easy. Back in the day, imagine trying to learn Hang 'Em High and not being able to see Eddie play it, and having to use a record. You know, back in the day, we would transfer it to cassette, so we could stop on the cassette and go, psh, but you could never find the exact point. You'd have to pick it out by ear and hope that you were playing it in the right position. Now, so people are saying Ross should wear a wig. I don't think. I think whatever, you know, here's the thing. Do you guys think Roth wore a wig during the Eat 'em and Smile era? I believe that he did. I believe that he did. And once again, I want to say thank you to that great gentleman from Canada. I can't get the thing to pull up. Yeah, you can slow YouTube videos down half speed or even slower and hear it at the correct pitch. And dude, we didn't have nothing like that. Back then, if we want to play something at half speed, it'd be all out of whack key-wise. So here's the thing though. Here's the thing. I developed my own style of shred by listening to Van Halen, listening to whoever I could listen to at the time, even Ron Wood or Mick Taylor or who are the other guys? Jeff Beck. all the guys that I would listen to as a kid. I never really sat and tried to copy anybody. I just tried to come up with stuff that sounded like what those guys were doing. You know, I tried to come up with stuff that sounded like something Eddie Van Halen would play. And little things you would pick up that you'd go, oh, that's exactly what that is. Or somebody would show you, hey, here's this part. Or, you know, you'd see somebody in a bar room do the bend, tap, tap, you know, that thing. So it was a lot different, but we developed our own styles back in those days better because we couldn't copy anybody exactly right. You watch older guys that learned Van Halen stuff back then, they might do a few things their own way, depending on how good they were at figuring it out. But now with the internet, you know, you've got all this stuff the kids have access to now. You can watch Jacob DeRaps, slow it down at half speed, and there's your parts. And you know what? When I watch these guys, you know, even the jazz guys, when I watch jazz guys that are really fluent and moving around, I can see the chords. Oh, I know that chord. I know that chord. Oh, I know that lick right there. Oh, and then he's doing, that's chromatic right there. You can pick out things, you know, from years of playing. You can pick them out, see what they're doing. But it's a different world now with all this video. I mean, look, kids can now see what Van Halen sounded like in '78. Of course, it's not professionally shot. It's not professional audio. It's bits and pieces. But you can get a feel for how energetic that band was. And man, it's just amazing. So here's only the best dads get made into grandpa. Okay, well, I hope I get to be a grandpa one day, but man, I don't know. You saw me, Crypto Chick said, I saw you in the Rick Beato chat the other day. That was a long time ago, Crypto, wasn't it? Or maybe I commented. Maybe you saw me in the comment section. But glad to have you here, Crypto Chick. It seems like I'm familiar with your channel. Yeah, so great to have you here. Thanks for dropping in. We're just live. I'm just winging it. We're talking about Van Halen a lot, but you know what? If anybody has any other topics they want to talk about, I'm here. I'm just, yeah, I've watched part of that. So Rick Beato did an interview with Billy Strings, and I watched part of that. And I thought, man, wow, what a great testimony about the guy's dad, and what a great experience Billy Strings had, you know, learning from his dad, learning bluegrass. What a whole different thing, man. I don't know any bluegrass. I can't play one bluegrass run. Everything I play is all fretted notes on the guitar. I don't really even know how to incorporate open strings in the way that those guys do it. So that is, it's an amazing interview to see. I need to watch the rest of it. How he stays relaxed in his vape pen film floor. I didn't see that. That's funny. Busted. Everybody says how bad Lower Broadway is, but they also keep going there. Yeah, Diva Fiddler, that is a great thing. And so she's commenting probably because she saw a lot of my Nashville videos telling people to be safe. We want everybody to be safe. If you go down to Lower Broadway, be very careful. And yeah, thank you for popping in, Diva Fiddler. Are you playing there down there currently? I would love to. I'd love to interview a Diva Fiddler on my channel. If you're interested, help promote your channel. We could do that as well. I'm trying to get, you know, people really enjoyed the interview with the bouncer. down. Oh, just in orchestras. Ah, wow. Well, I wouldn't call that fiddling, right? That's a violin, right? But that's very cool. Thank you, thank you. So, do you play in the the Nashville Orchestra? But I could get a professional violinist that does studio work for you. Maybe that would be interesting. I'm really trying to get people from the street level to come on this channel because I think people like to see that. I'm trying to get an interview. I need to check my Instagram in a little bit, but I've got a interview with one of the glamour punk style band's lead singers. It's still doing it, still playing the whiskey, still playing the Sunset Strip. Pedro, thank you for popping in. I'm getting an interview with him, and he's still got the Kool-Aid hair, and it's going to be a cool interview to get his perspective on how much the Strip has changed. And being out there in California, he can maybe give us a perspective. That rock show with Bad Brad, that's a possibility. Blas Elias, if I can get Blas Elias, it's not easy getting a hold of these guys, man. And I will urge anybody. That's funny, P-Funk. Those guys that play violin in the parking lots that are faking it. I'm sure everybody has seen those guys. He says don't get one of those guys on the channel. No, we don't plan on getting any fake players on the channel. Oh, Lord. Oh, good Lord. Yes, indeed. We can't do that, sir. We cannot. Oh, Lord. Good Lord. Oh, man. I'm getting sloppy with the tea, bro. My wife went to the dentist today. Man, I woke up this morning just sick as a dog. Yeah, Billy Sheehan. I reached out to Billy Sheehan the other day on X, right? I don't have, even when you contact the publicists for these people, sometimes they don't even reply back. Billy Sheehan is an amazing guy. And man, I remember back in the day, dude, he used to reply back to emails and all kinds of stuff. Always, was on top of his social media and all that. Of course, man, the guy's a legend. And I would love to have him. I also, yes, Rhonda, so Billy Sheehan lives in Tennessee, Brentwood, Tennessee, which is one of the suburbs outside of Nashville. And super cool dude. Chris, thank you so much for being here, brother. Diva Fiddler, thank you so much. Thank you. That is amazing. I really do appreciate that. And that is awesome. Thank you. You guys are awesome today, man. Helping me out again, because this is the end of the month, right? It's the end of the month. Get up, get up, get up. It's the end of the month, right? And so thank you, Diva. Thank you. It's the end of the month, and whatever I make today will top off this month. It's been an okay month. I still will be under probably around 1,600. I'm thinking I'm probably be around for the whole month. Complete transparency here. You don't make a ton of money working here on YouTube, at least as a baby channel. This is a baby channel. So maybe when you get to the level of having 100K subscribers or whatever, maybe it gets better. But man, I'm hoping to get the interviews. But right now, man, even maybe it's the time of year where people are hibernating or whatever, but it's not easy getting these, Stevie T level. If I could be Stevie T, Yeah, Stevie T, dude. Stevie T buying like sports cars and houses with his YouTube money. But see, he appeals to a younger audience. It should be Ericsson, but that's a long. You got to imagine, dude. Bought a car he can't drive. Yeah, I saw that, John. That was funny. But I'm sure he's figured it out now how to get insurance for that, man. I dream of one day having enough money to buy a Corvette. I don't know if that'll ever happen, man. Certainly not a new one. That would be foolish, and it'd probably be foolish to even buy one, even if I had the money. I think my next car will be a truck. I've got a Camry right now. I'm driving it's a nice car, man. I got nothing bad to say about it, but I think I want to move up to a truck. Diva is asking how many guitars do you have? That is confidential and classified information. But I'm guesstimating it's probably around 30 of guitars that are playable, probably 20, 25. These all behind me are pretty much stuff that I can use every day. And, most of, I've got a bunch of them here that it's just something wrong with them. I can't sell them. And some of them, it can't be fixed. Some of them are guitars I had out on the road. And, Jamie, well, look, here's the thing, Jamie. I was on the road. I played music for 40 years. So if you did the math of 40 years and having 30 some guitars, that's less than one guitar a year. And not all of these guitars are expensive guitars. Over the years, people would give guitars. I've had 4 guitars sent here since I got this channel to sort of take off. And here's the thing. I had way more stuff before I married my wife. I had all my road cases. I had 100-watt heads. I had head switchers. I had to dump that stuff just to come down here. I sold that stuff for peanuts. I paid probably close to $1,000 for just the rack that held my heads that I used on the road. And I think I sold it with the Furman power supply and the head switcher and everything. I think I sold it for like $200. I had to get rid of it. It sat on, here's the thing, man. Young kids aren't necessarily going out on the road now with 3 100-watt heads. I was maybe one of the last of the Mohicans putting together a rig like that. And companies give you guitars when you're on the road. People want to start guitar companies, and they say, "Can I build you a guitar?" And look. So usually, usually I would say, "Yeah, build me a guitar," and I'll use it on the road. And they try to get their company off. There was one guy that gave guitars away to like a bunch of people. Titanic, thank you. Titanic Discussions, thank you. Have you ever had to do a stint on bass guitar? Thanks and enjoy a pizza on me. Titanic Discretions, thank you so much. That's a great question. Man, I do play bass, and I can play bass with my fingers like a traditional bass player. I don't know that I would last an entire gig doing that. I think my hands would give what you want if I had pick. Yeah, I don't think I've actually done a full gig on bass. I think there might have been a time where I filled in on bass for a song or two. I definitely have played bass on a gig. where guys were like, the bass player went and got on the, let me play drums. And I'm like, well, we got to have a bass player. So I put the guitar down and went over and played bass for a song. But man, I like maybe there is, Scott. There might be a lot less bass players. It seemed to me in the '90s was the era of the bass player. It seemed like the '80s was the era of shred and the guitar player, and the '90s seemed like it was all about the bass, right? So, man, I like playing bass, and if somebody were to call me and say play bass, and it paid enough money, yeah, I'd do it. You know, yeah, Rusty, we don't need to think about any. We're not. This is not that channel. This channel is about music, man. And you know, there was one video I did talking about tariffs, and we're not getting into any of that. But it was only because it would change the price of guitars. See what I did there? But man, you know, playing bass, here's the thing, man. I spent time and I practiced bass. My roommate was John Billings, and you know, Dave and P Funk all know. Great bass player, monster bass player, great thumb player, right? And you know, dude, music, dude. And so I practiced. I used to practice on his bass. And you know what? In fact, where is my bass? It's kind of, is it buried? Yeah, it's kind of buried over here. Look, man. You know, this is a great, here's my one good bass. I got a crap ton of guitars, but I've got one good bass. I rescued this from a Sam Ash. It had Bartolini pickups. It's got this like high, you know, what is this? Is this a, yeah, this is a, you see what it says? Badass. Badass bridge, Leo Kwan Badass bridge. It's got Bartolini pickups. Now, when I got it, it has the most janked up, like I had a Bartolini preamp in it, but it was just poorly installed. And that eventually croaked. So I took this to Groon Guitars, and I had the bass player that's the setup guy there, Tony Nagy. I had him do a setup on it and take out the active electronics. So it's just, you know, Bartolini pickups, but with no preamp. And it's just a good sounding bass. But look, man. That's all with the fingers, right? I know like bass players probably rag on guitar players playing bass with a pick. Yeah, they are, Erickson. It's look, when I saw this bass in the store, and I think I got it for like $500. It's a USA Fender Precision bass. It's you know, it had Bartolini pickups. It had a badass bridge on it. And I thought, this is already got, and it's got precision pickups and jazz bass pickups with a P bass neck. Perfect recording bass for me. It's got all the tones that I need. And look, if I want, I've got a 5-string, I've got a cheap Affinity jazz bass 5-string. It actually is, it's a ridiculously good bass. I think I paid $179 for it. And that was before they switched to Powell Ferrell, so I think it even has a rosewood neck. I mean, but I don't really like playing 5-string. Just like I don't really like playing 7-string. It throws me off. I'm old school. So yeah, $179. If I knew where that instrument was right now, I'd show it to you. Because if you can find the old Squire Affinity 5-string, it's black. It's a basic bass, but man, it plays incredible. It's got like a steel bolt or something in the neck so it can handle the 5 string. I'm just not a 5 string player. I like a traditional 4 string, but I learned something. And this is a great tip for you. If you're tired of playing an E and A or drop D on a standard bass, the bass player for was it Dallas Smith? He had a P bass that he strung up and he tuned it B with super heavy strings, B, E, A, and D. Or yeah, is that right? Yeah. So B, E, A, D. So essentially, it was like a 5 string, but he took off the top string, which is a really cool tuning it like a regular bass, but down to B standard. That is a really cool trick to be able to play with somebody, maybe a band that needs you to play and have those low notes, and you don't want to play a 5 string. Because look, man, a 5 string, that wide neck, man, for old hands like mine, man, I don't want to spend a lot of time on a big neck like that. So that is a trick. That is a trick. Tuning these, getting some heavier gauge strings and tuning it down. You can do the whole 5 string thing and get all those low notes and do all that cool stuff. And yeah. Does string quality affect tone? Can you tell by ears? Oh, absolutely, Trippy. I can tell the minute he's asking about string quality. I can tell the minute I put a pack of strings on whether it's going to be worth the crap or not. Even sometimes the best brands out there, sometimes you get a pack and it's a couple of the strings are a little, shall we say, bent or something. And that sucks. That sucks. But usually the good companies are fairly consistent. But man, strings sound different. I hear the difference. Even in Ernie Balls and Diodario's. I would say Diodario's have a little more zing to them, it seems like. If anybody else thinks that, maybe I'm imagining it. But it seemed like, because Diodario's come in that sealed packaging. Wow, I did not know that Crypto Chick EVH used to boil them. He says he used to boil his new strings. Well, he may have boiled them so that they would be stretched out. Maybe boiling them, maybe that got rid of that having to stretch those strings and all that. I don't know. That's really interesting. I don't remember him saying that, but I don't doubt that that's probably very accurate. It's probably very accurate. Well, look, it's been 68 minutes. This is an impromptu random live. I'm going to go, boiling is heating metal. Yeah, I'm not sure it's a great idea either, Diogenes. But yeah, I'm going to, that's Dave. That's amazing. We want to give an applaud for Dave. He went back to maybe one of his old bars today, and they saw the transformation that he made. He's been sober now for over a year, and that's an amazing thing. And man, thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been an amazing talk, very deep and profound. And thank you, everybody that pitched in. Man, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the hang. Everybody, and boiling shrimp is better. Cool, Ramon. Yes, it is. Everybody have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Breakfast Club, and tomorrow night, Backstage with Bad Brad. I think it's episode 16, bro. See y'all tomorrow night, dude. Later, dude.